Dear friends, welcome. I am DocStrange19, and today I'm taking you on an in-depth journey through the history of a true comic book legend, Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom. But behind the metal mask and impenetrable armor lies a tormented man, obsessed with power and revenge. His story is a web of pain and hope, of triumphs and falls, a tragic epic that has shaped the destiny of Latveria and the entire world. If you emerge unscathed from this journey into the depths of Doctor Doom's mind, and his story has left you hungry for dark knowledge, then share this tribute with your fellow adventurers and friends. Give it a thumbs up, and do not miss any of our crazy incursions into the Marvel Universe. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Prepare yourself for new heroes, new villains, and new breathtaking stories. DocStrange19 awaits you. What are you waiting for? Spread the dark knowledge. Now prepare to discover Doctor Doom's secrets, to delve into the intricacies of his diabolical mind, and to understand the reasons that drove him to walk the path of evil. A fascinating and unsettling journey that will leave you breathless and with a question that echoes through eternity. Is Doctor Doom a hero or a villain? Are you ready to cross the gates of Latveria and meet its sovereign? Let's go. Now get comfortable, grab your popcorn, and let's begin this extraordinary adventure.
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby gave us Doom's first origins in The Origin of Doctor Doom in 1964's Fantastic Four Annual 1 and 2, but his first appearance was in Fantastic Four number 5 in 1962. Our story begins in the desolate lands of Latveria, in a small Roma village. Here, a powerful witch named Cynthia Von Doom gives birth to a child destined to change the world. Victor's family were members of the Zafiro, a local Roma clan in Latveria heavily persecuted under King Vladimir's rule, and were constantly forced to flee from the king's soldiers. His father, Werner Von Doom, used traditional medicine and worked as a healer, while Cynthia practiced witchcraft. Dr. Doom, or Victor Werner Von Doom, is a character whose story is deeply rooted in tragedy and an endless quest for power. His intelligence manifested exceptionally early, reportedly while still in his mother's womb. Doom attributes this precocious development to his mother's involvement in dark magic. His father, Werner Von Doom, aware of the dangers and stigma associated with such practices, tried to convince her to stop. Unfortunately, his mother Cynthia Von Doom's actions led to severe consequences. Doom's mother was part of the Roma community, a group already stigmatized for their supposed association with magic. Her actual practice of dark magic worsened their reputation, drawing the attention of the local baron, a cruel and sadistic ruler. To protect their community, Doom's mother sought to accumulate power, overthrow the baron. But this came at a terrible cost. She made a pact that caused the death of all children in the village, sparing only Doom, for reasons that were revealed later. The villagers, fearing retaliation from the baron and blaming her for the deaths, drove her out. Eventually, the baron's men found and killed her. Doom's father Werner, also ostracized by the villagers, fled with Victor to escape the baron's wrath. This journey through harsh mountain conditions ultimately led to Doom's father's death. The trauma of losing both parents in such violent circumstances profoundly affected Victor, fueling his quest for power and mastery of both magic and science, to ensure he would never be vulnerable again. Victor's early brilliance continued into his university years, where he met Reed Richards, sparking an academic rivalry that would deeply mark both characters. Doom, used to being the smartest, found himself facing an equal for the first time. Despite his exceptional intelligence, Victor was often a social outcast. He had little interest in typical American activities and is frequently seen as arrogant, believing himself superior to those around him. His experiments became increasingly extreme, and he began developing primitive versions of Doombots, robotic substitutes that would later become fundamental to his efforts to maintain remote control. A crucial moment in Victor's university life was when Reed Richards stumbled upon his work. This encounter revealed Doom's ultimate goal: to free his mother's soul from Mephisto, a powerful demonic entity in the Marvel Universe. However, the experiment to contact Mephisto's realm changed everything, with an explosion that disfigured Doom's face, marking him permanently. Mephisto held his mother's soul as part of the pact for power she had sought. Victor's pursuit of power, through scientific innovation and magical mastery, was always driven by this personal mission. Doom's quest for his mother's soul explains many of his actions throughout his life. Despite his apparent desire to dominate the world and obtain divine power, his true motivation was deeply personal. The extent of his disfigurement, often debated, was confirmed to be both physical and psychological.
The explosion in his laboratory, triggered during one of his experiments, left his face scarred, further contributing to his complex psyche and relentless pursuit of his goals. After the tragic explosion at State University and his expulsion, Victor Von Doom found himself marginalized and bitter. He embarked on a solitary journey around the world, seeking knowledge and power to redeem his humiliation and take revenge on Reed Richards. His wandering led him to a remote Tibetan village, where he met a group of monks who, after being subjugated, recognized his potential and helped him perfect his scientific and magical abilities. With their help, Victor created an iconic armor that concealed his scarred face and amplified his strength. Returning to Latveria, his homeland, Doom was no longer the same man. He had become a ruthless leader, determined to uplift his nation and conquer the world. He overthrew the existing regime, proclaimed himself king, and assumed the grand name of DoctorDoom, renamed his capital Doomsday, further developing his mastery of science through robotics, weapons, and even time travel. Secure in his rule, and with formidable forces at his command, Von Doom set out to conquer the globe, save his mother's soul, and prove himself superior to Reed Richards, the only man he had ever met who could match his scientific genius. Among the sagas where, in my opinion, Doom manifests his true strategic potential, at the height of his abilities and with conquest ambitions that extend beyond Earth's boundaries. I want to mention the first SecretWars from 1984. This 12-issue comic miniseries, written by Jim Shooter and drawn by Mike Zeck, was a cosmic event orchestrated by the mysterious Beyonder, where Dr. Doom found himself catapulted onto Battleworld, an artificial planet created to host a battle between heroes and villains from Earth. With the promise of obtaining their greatest desire, the Beyonder forced them to fight. Doom, with his cunning and power, assumed the role of leader of the villains. Despite his group's defeat, Doom once again demonstrated his ingenuity. He managed to escape from his cell and build a device from the body of Claw, a powerful criminal, to drain the cosmic energy of Galactus, the planet-devouring being. Armed with this immense power, Doom headed towards the Beyonder, determined to defeat him and claim his prize. The battle was epic, but Doom, despite his new power, was unable to overwhelm the Beyonder. As the Beyonder approached to study him, Doom activated a hidden device in his armor, draining the Beyonder and absorbing his cosmic power. He became an almost divine entity, so powerful that he couldn't even sleep for fear of destroying the universe with his dreams. However, the Beyonder wasn't definitively defeated. Having survived in Claw's body, he used cunning to trick Doom, making him lose control of the stolen power and reclaiming it. After humiliating and defeating Doom, the Beyonder vanished, leaving the Doctor and Claw to their uncertain fate on Battleworld. This SecretWars adventure demonstrated once again Dr. Doom's immense power and ambition, capable of challenging even a cosmic entity like Galactus to achieve his goals. However, his thirst for power brought him to the brink, risking the destruction of everything he had conquered. His defeat at the hands of the Beyonder served as a warning about the dangers of uncontrolled power. and the fragility of even the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe. Another notable saga from 1987 is Emperor Doom by David Michelinie, writer, Bob Hall, artist, as part of a plan to conquer the world. Doom kidnapped Zebediah Killgrave, the mind-controlling supervillain known as the Purple Man, and imprisoned him in a giant psychoprism, which not only gave Zebediah's powers to Doom, but also amplified them on a global scale.
Doom demonstrates his willpower by resisting Purple Man's mind control. Using this power, Doom manipulated the United Nations and every government to legally name him Emperor of Earth. Under his command, the planet saw prosperity, equality, and the end of war and hunger, but at the cost of every citizen's free will. Moreover, Doom began to feel that his victory was almost meaningless due to the lack of challenges to achieve or maintain his goal. A challenger to Doom's dominion emerged in the form of Avenger Wonder Man, whose unusual physiology made him unaffected by mind control. After freeing many of his teammates from Doom's control, Wonder Man attacked Doom Island, the location of the Psychoprism. Doom's dissatisfaction led him to give up the possibility of preventing the heroes from destroying the crystal. Thus, Earth's citizens were freed from control and Earth returned to its status quo. But despite the victory, the mighty Avengers wondered if they had done the right thing in not leaving a reborn and flourishing humanity under Doom's control. Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment, a journey into the soul of two heroes, a graphic elegy that delves into darkness.
Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment is not just one of the best stories dedicated to the Supreme Sorcerer and the Sovereign of Latveria, but a true psychological study of two of Marvel's most profound characters. A journey through Dantesque hells that reveals the hidden depths of their tormented souls.
A devil's bargain and a price to pay. Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom, is obsessed with a single purpose: to save his mother Cynthia from Mephisto's claws, Lord of Hell. For her, years ago, he had made a pact that had condemned her to eternal hell. To achieve his goal, Doom relies on the help of Stephen Strange, the man who transformed into Supreme Sorcerer. Together, they venture towards hell, ready to face demons and dangers to bring Cynthia back to life. During their mission, the two protagonists reveal themselves as two sides of the same coin. Both obtained their powers from pain and loss. Strange sacrificed his hands and career to become master of the mystic arts, learning humility and temperance. Doom, instead, lost his family, youth, and future to obtain power and technology. Roger Stern, the story's writer, shines in delineating characters through intense and deep dialogues. The words of Doom and Strange reveal their complexity and motivations, making them even more human and multifaceted figures. Mike Mignola's drawings, then still at the beginning of his career, are powerful and evocative. His expressionist style, characterized by angular contours and bright colors, perfectly matches the dark and tormented atmosphere of the story. Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment is a brief but unforgettable work. An epic poem that explores themes like damnation, redemption, pain, and hope. A journey into the soul of two complex and tormented heroes that leaves us with a mixture of admiration, pity, communion, and relief. If you're looking for a story that will move you and make you think, Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment is a must-read work. A deep and engaging reading experience that will leave you breathless for a long time. A masterful creative team. 2006 Books of Doom, written by Ed Brubaker, known for his dark and nuanced storytelling. Books of Doom promises a unique perspective on a familiar character. The phenomenal art by Pablo Raimondi and Mark Farmer brings Doom's life to life, from his innocent childhood to his eventual rise to power. His compelling saga tells the life story of Victor Von Doom, Marvel's most iconic villain. It's not just the story we already know, but a deeper exploration of the missing years that shaped him into the tyrannical sovereign of Latveria. The narrative follows Doom's journey from childhood in Eastern Europe, marked by the tragic loss of his mother, to his arrival in the United States. We witness his brilliant academic career and scientific achievements, but also the darkness that begins to consume him. The story delves into the events that fractured Doom's psyche, transforming him from a promising student into a ruthless dictator. It promises to be an epic Russian tragedy in comic form.
In stark contrast to the usual superhero genre,
This series is essential reading for anyone wanting to understand Dr. Doom's complex motivations. It's a dark and revealing examination of how a promising young man can be twisted by tragedy and ambition, ultimately leading him down the path of evil. It's a story of loss, revenge, and descent into madness that creates a legend.
Now we move forward in the timeline, where Dr. Doom becomes the God Emperor. Dr. Doom the God Emperor and the destruction of the multiverse in Secret Wars is the 2015 crossover announced by Marvel as the event that ends the Marvel Universe. The main story unfolds in a 9-issue miniseries written by Jonathan Hickman and drawn by Esad Ribic, accompanied by numerous miniseries that can be read independently of the main event. The title recalls the 1984 miniseries by Jim Shooter and Mike Zeck, considered Marvel's first mega crossover, revisiting themes and characters. In the cosmic event, also known as Incursion, the Marvel multiverse came to its end, with Earth 616 and Earth 1610 colliding in a final cataclysm. Facing total annihilation, Dr. Doom harnessed the power of the Beyonders, cosmic entities of immense power, to save fragments of different realities and assemble them into a new planet, Battle World. On this patchwork world, Doom reigned as God Emperor, ruling with an iron fist and assisted by Stephen Strange, appointed Sheriff of Battle World. Doom's power was amplified by the Molecule Man, an imprisoned cosmic being who served as an inexhaustible source of energy. But I want to stop proceeding with the story now, as this is a work that should be read and savored. In conclusion, dear readers, Dr. Doom, one of Marvel Comics' most iconic villains, is a complex and multifaceted character. His story is deeply rooted in a combination of personal tragedy, scientific genius, and boundless ambition. Victor Von Doom's transformation into Dr. Doom is marked by moments of intense drama and conflict, making him not just an antagonist, but also a deeply human character. Victor is driven by his obsession to free his mother's soul, trapped by Mephisto, which leads him to develop revolutionary technologies while ignoring risks and others' advice. His rivalry with Reed Richards, fueled by his arrogance and sense of superiority, culminates in an accident that deforms his face and forces him into exile. This crucial event not only physically deforms Doom, but also marks his psyche, turning him into a bitter and vengeful figure. Doom is not a simple villain seeking world domination out of pure thirst for power. His motivation is often rooted in a desire for order and to prove his intellectual superiority. His brilliant mind and engineering abilities are both his greatest strength and his downfall, as his arrogance leads him to underestimate others and ignore their advice. His journey around the world and his encounter with Tibetan monks who help him build his iconic armor represent his final transformation into Dr. Doom. This is not just a name change, but a complete metamorphosis of his being, seeing him transform from an ambitious scientist into a tyrannical monarch. Despite his position as an antagonist, Doom also evokes empathy. His story is a tragic parable of wasted genius and potential corrupted by his own arrogance. His interactions with the Fantastic Four and other superheroes often reveal deep moral complexity, making him more than a simple villain. In many cases, Doom acts with a logic that, although distorted, is understandable in his pursuit of vengeance and personal justice. In conclusion, Dr. Doom is a compelling and multifaceted character. His combination of personal tragedy, genius, and ambition makes him one of the most memorable and interesting villains in the Marvel Universe. His story, rich with conflicts and dramatic moments, continues to capture readers' imagination, cementing his status as an icon in the comic book world.